minerals, herb usage, etc. And so you need to kind of understand, well, who created orthodox medicine? Where did that come from? Well, it actually came from the Rockefeller Foundation back in 1901. The Rockefellers at the time, their family, because of the Standard Oil scandals, no one wanted to be called a Rockefeller. Everybody hated all the Rockefellers. And so his friend, Reverend Gates, went to John D. Rockefeller Sr. and told him, said, well, here's a way we can repair your reputation. And he gave him a good example. There was this man who everybody hated, just like, they were hating you. And he started giving money out for all sorts of philanthropic enterprise. And soon people forgot all of the bad things. All they remembered was this philanthropy that he was pouring out. And he said, so that's what we need to do with you. And so the first thing, because Gates' father was a physician and John D. Rockefeller's father was a quack snake oil salesman, he said, let's form the Rockefeller Institute of Medical Research. And so they created this in 1901. And so Rockefeller owned what was called the Drug Trust. That's the major drug manufacturing firms all over the world, Merck, Pharmaceutical, Letterly, all of these firms, these drug pharmaceutical companies.
Because the Rockefellers understood taking over an entire industry and controlling the education system is the key to dominating societies. These are monopoly men.
Right, and he also made himself a lot of money, and that's what Gates pointed out to him. Not only can we present this as philanthropy, but by promoting only drugs and the treatments that you promote as being so-called orthodox, that'll feed back into the companies that you own. And, of course, what he didn't always directly own companies. He would buy enough shares so he controlled them.
Yeah, it's very simple for people that don't understand what you're saying. This is all part of the mainline history. It isn't taught in the mainline textbooks, but it is there for those that want to know. They took over the education system in medicine to then direct the course of it into their own companies.
Right, and the way he took over the medical education system at the time, he hired a person called Abraham Flexner, and he told him, what we need to do is have you study the medical schools in the United States and write a critique of it. And, of course, the aim was to remove all nutrition references to nutritional-type treatments from the medical schools. So they closed down half the medical schools in the United States. There were 165 medical schools at the time. Well, he closed half of them. Then he had his anointed medical schools, which he poured his money into, appointed the professors from his own stock of professors. And so they created an educational system that taught the things that he wanted taught. And therefore, every professor that came out of those programs taught the same thing. So you established an orthodox training system where everybody was saying the same thing.
Yeah, they call it now standardization, just like international bodies fund every county and city and fly around the city managers and social planners, where now all the zoning's the same, or the schools are the same, or the anti-gun message is the same, or the anti-sovereignty message. Everything is standardized. So this all goes back to them doing this with banking and then medicine and then energy. Please continue.
Right, and if you look at the history of it, it all stemmed from Rockefeller. He did this in all of those segments that you discussed, including the municipalities and the cities and villages, so that he controlled their governments as well. Well, he now has absolute control of all of medical care in the United States, as well as it moved out into the world. He made it international.
And then when they have control of medicine, they can cover up by compartmentalizing and giving false data to the doctors who are compartmentalized, and scientists. They can cover up their eugenics program to make sure that real doctors and scientists don't ever discover it, correct?
Right, and the thing is, Lily Kay wrote a book on this. It's the history of molecular medicine and the connection to Rockefeller Foundation and Caltech. It's a very in-depth history of it. She's a professor of history, very well qualified, and it's a very highly acclaimed history of molecular medicine and molecular biology. But in it, she makes the point that the Rockefeller Foundation created molecular biology with the aim of human engineering and social control. And that his goal was to eliminate people in the world who he felt was unfit for life, and to change the minds and the thinking of people by using molecular biology. And
then he pioneered the funding with the British of mind war. That's what Hitler called it, or propaganda.
Right. He turned it international in 1950. What he did, he turned the domestic program over to Ford Foundation, and then he went international, mainly concentrating in Britain with their program of psychological warfare and psychological changing of thinking and mind.
And, Doctor, I want to point something out. You and I didn't talk before the interview. We're not scripting this. You know, I bring up that it then moved to Britain, and you continue with the documentation. Why? I don't come in and throw in little tidbits to show off that I know what's going on. I do that to show we're both saying the same thing because we've read the same mainline history. This is what's really going on. They're poisoning you by design. We're going to get to that. Dr. Russell Blaylock is our guest, an amazing individual. We're so honored to have him with us. We're going to come back and continue with What Rules Our World. Stay with us.
Doctors around the world claim that cancer and other diseases cannot live in a pH-balanced alkaline environment. But as you know, most people are overly acidic due to stress, acidic diet, and lack of exercise. pH balance is the foundation of energy abundance and perfect health, as well as prevention of disease. People who alkalize the water they drink experience normalized blood sugar, mental clarity, and loss of weight. It was intended for human beings to drink alkaline water, but due to modern way of life, most people are overly acidic. The fact is that disease simply cannot exist in an alkaline environment. Fat accumulates if a person consumes too much acid on a regular basis and doesn't neutralize it. Do your part. Alkalize and supercharge your body now. AlkaVision Plasma pH drops contain a special mineral salt concentrate that raises the pH of the water you drink up to the pH of 10 with only 10 drops. Order your bottle of AlkaVision Plasma pH drops now by going directly to alkavision.com. Again, that's alkavision.com.
A day unlike any other in the long course of American history, a terrorist act of war against this country.
The enemy struck America on September 11th. But who is the enemy?
Bin Laden. This is his M.O.
We have to look to the Middle East. We have to look to Osama bin Laden.
Fabled Enemies is the first 9/11 film to take a close look at the terrorist ties to intelligence networks inside the United States.
Some U.S. investigators believe that there are Israelis again very much engaged in spying in and on the U.S.
I'm aware that some Israeli citizens have been detained.
Bin Laden's connections to the CIA, the hijackers' ties to the FBI, the Saudi Arabian connection, the Israeli intelligence network, warnings and war games, the shadow government, and much, much more. Fabled Enemies. Get the DVD at Infowars.com or see it in super high quality, along with hundreds of other titles at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Would you like to know how you can use water as fuel and laugh at the rising price of gas? Then keep listening for a very special offer. GasFreedom.info has the information you need to learn about the newest hydrogen technology available. Gas Freedom is an affordable, practical, free energy device. It uses electricity from your car's battery to separate water into a gas called HHO. HHO, also called Brown's gas, burns efficiently and provides the energy your car needs. In just 10 minutes, you'll discover exactly how this is possible. This is the secret the oil companies don't want you to know. Learn how easy it is to extract energy from water to run your car and experience the most powerful hydrogen cells available. Visit gasfreedom.info and receive $59.95 off of your order by using coupon code GCN. Turn any car into a hybrid and laugh all the way to the bank. Visit gasfreedom.info or call 239-628-3708. That's 239-628-3708. Call today.
I want everybody out there watching to listen to me very carefully. Everything Dr. Blaylock, neurosurgeon, researcher, lecturer, peer-reviewed publisher, is telling you is on the historical record. The eugenicists developed their plans in the 1850s. They took them into governmental control by the 1930s. They implemented it. The Nazis were just a spin-off of that. That's why all this is happening. That's why the poisoning of the population is happening. And they've got one comeback to all this. They say, well, population we're living longer in the United States. Well, that's not true. Infant mortality is way down. So if you take out infant mortality old numbers, when on average, depending on the decade, but going back 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago, 30, 40% of children would die by the age of 5. If you take those numbers out, we aren't living as long. Look at Russia. They're living to like 52 now. This is going on by design by the social planners. Dr. Blaylock, please continue. You had gotten to 1950. They go totally international with it. Please continue.
Well, as I said, they turned over the domestic behavioral sciences to the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller